Hey everyone, here's my version of this 4x4 or linoleum tile video. I'll try and do this much faster in a different format. Everybody should have the title block open. You're going to start by going into your U drive and opening this for my students. If you're not one of my students, sorry, you can just do this drawing anywhere in space outside of a title block, or go to my title block video. Anyway, the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that you're dimensioning. Once we get into this dimensioning setup, you want to make sure that you see these small enough to fit where they need to go, the arrows and the measurements. You want these as fractions. When you have a measurement that's got to fit in a small space, you want it to eliminate these arrows and make sure that it always fits in there, which is all done by going into, you have to type in some letters here, DDIM. I'm going to leave that there for a second so you can see it. I'm going to say it again. DDIM are the letters that you just punch in and hit enter to bring up this menu. Then you're going to hit modify. I know this is not easy the first time you're seeing this menu. If it is the first time you're seeing this menu, so you click the tabs on the top to open up all these different options. You're going to change where it says symbols and arrows. You're going to drag across where it says 1.8. You're going to change it to that 0.125. You type in, and you can just click away from it. Go to the text tab. You're going to drag across where this is 0.18 and change it to 0.125 for text height. That's the sizes of this measurements when we get to the measurement process here. Then you're going to go to fit. You're going to change the button here to always keep the text between the extension lines, and then suppress the arrows if they don't fit inside the extension lines. That's like this 3/8 here. We're going to make sure that it's always between these extension lines and that it turns off or suppresses the arrows if they don't fit. Primary units, you're going to change this. It should look like decimal from the beginning. If you haven't changed it, you're going to change this to fractional, which is going to make sure the measurements will show up as fractions and not decimal numbers. After doing all of those changes, you just hit OK, and it's going to save all those changes. You hit close, and all of those are very important when we get to the point where we're putting all these measurements on. So everybody needs to see and do that. Again, that's DDIM. If ever you need to change the measurements on measurements, or to change the sizes and set up for the measurements, you type in DDIM, and it brings up that menu. Okay, moving on. All those changes are done in here. So what you're going to do is make sure you hit the save button at this point, because you want to save those changes to this title block. All right, then what we're going to do is center up our drawing on the title block, which is done in a new way. Here, you click on the corner point and opposite corner point. And what happens here is it's going to tell you where the midpoint of this line is. If I were to draw a X through the center of any object, rectangle, square, circle, it finds the middle by having the midpoint snap referencing. When I get to the middle of this, it's going to find the middle. I'm going to draw the outside layout of this is 8 inches long and 5.5 inches tall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that overall rectangle. I'm going to place it in the middle, and then I'm going to finish doing the drawing here. So the way that looks is by rolling the mouse wheel backward. I press down on the mouse wheel to slide over. I'm going to draw my box over here with these, just a line. Click here and start moving to the right. When I see that green dotted horizontal line indicator, I'm going to type in the number 8, hit the enter button, go vertically, get a vertical green dot indicator telling me I'm at 90 degrees, type in 5.5, enter. Go back to the left here, type in 8, enter, and then close it off by just getting this green dot to line up. When it starts trying to draw more line, you hit the escape key, it shuts off that line tool, and now I have the overall size of my block. I'm going to select this. It's going to find the middle of it when I go to select it with the move tool. And when I go to move this, I'm going to grab it from the center here, and I'm going to place it on the center of this diagonal line, and it's going to center up the whole drawing. So by doing click up in this top left corner, go to drag across it, and then click again. you have two different ways of selecting things. If you just hold the mouse button down, some people are just trying to select like this, and it's obnoxious. I'm going to hit the escape key and undo my selection here. If you click on the top corner and then just drag across and down, click again, it's an easier selection process. I'm looking for these blue dots to show up when I grab this the right way, and then I'm going to click the move tool, hover over the midpoint of the side, and I have to hover the midpoint of the side line and top line, or either or a combination of things, so it does this for you. When you get the midpoints of those two, it can find the intersection for you. And when you see that X in the very middle of that rectangle, you're going to click and it's going to grab it there from the dead center. And then you're going to put it over and you're going to find this X in the center of the middle of the block. You're going to find a triangle in the middle of the line. Click when you lay the two on top of one another. And that's how you center up this entire thing. And you get rid of this construction line that we just built, this diagonal line. Just click on it, hit the delete key on the keyboard. When people hit backspace instead of delete all the time, make sure you're hitting the delete key on the keyboard. And now what I'm going to end up doing here is looking at these measurements. I got 1 3/8. This measurement is important, and 2 5/8, really important. I'm creating 1 3/8 from the top and bottom horizontal, 2 5/8 in from the outsides to make these corners, and then you'll see the rest of this construction process. So what I'm using here is this offset button. I'm going to do my top horizontal. You have to click it 3 times to get it to start going downwards towards the center of the box. The 1 3/8 is done like this. Oh, sorry, I bumped that with my arm. You type in 1 dash, it's what looks like the minus button on the keyboard, but 1 -3/8, like that. And then hit the enter key. And it's going to offset this line and 1 3/8 away from that. I'm going to click the bottom one, go upward, same thing, 1 3/8, 1 -3/8. So those are 2 1 3/8 offsets. These on the sides, the offset is 2 5/8. So it's 2 -5/8 inward, opposite side inward, same thing, 2 -5/8. And then you're trimming away what you don't need, which is you just drag through with this trim tool. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. You don't need those lines. Now what we're going to do is other offsets. We're making these 2 lines offset inward on all corners 3/8 of an inch. What I want to do is we want to connect these lines. So what you do is you select, you just click on the line. Oh, I'm sorry, my trim is still, it's trying to delete them. If I hit the escape key, I can select these 2 lines and then type the letters join. And it's going to join those 2 up. So it's going to offset them together. You'll see this is going to make your life easier in a minute. Click these 2 and join. And just type click, click, and join. Click, click, join. So now when we go to offset those lines, go to offset. There we go. It's selecting those 2 lines joined together, and then we just type in 3//8. And it's going to do the offset. Same thing over here. Go inward, 3//8, offset, 3//8. I think I lost my offset. There you go. 3/8 down here, and then you're going to trim away what you don't need. Click on the trim tool, and then it's easiest to just drag through these little segments. So you cut away what you don't want, which is this stuff. Whoop, I cut something I didn't want to. I'm going to Control Z. Move this where I can actually see it. Okay, so that's the actual end of the drawing part. Now we're going to put the measurements on. Now this gets a little bit technical. What we want to do is we want to place all these measurements the same distance away. We haven't gone over measurements. So we're going to set this up where we have a line that's 3/8 of an inch away from the drawing, and then 1/4 inch away from that, to use these two lines that we're about to build to place the measurements across the top of this and across the right side of this. So what that means is you're going to this and you're going to create an offset line using this line in your drawing. Click it 3 times, type in 3/8/8, then click it again, and then type in 1/4. So that's where the alignment of the two sets of measurements are going to go when we're doing our measurements here. I'm going to do it down here, outward 3/8, enter, and then offset that again, 1/4. All those are is placement markings. And when we're doing our measurements, we'll go over this in a little bit more detail. And I see you select the two endpoints. We're going to place dimensions. I'm going to click the endpoint and endpoint of the length of this line, and then you're going to click where you want it to go away from distance-wise the drawing itself. So 2 and 5, you'll see what happens. Click dimension. I'm going to start over here, actually. I'm going to click the two endpoints. It says specify the first and second endpoint. And then what you're doing is you're clicking this over here, and it places it that distance away. So I'm going to click the endpoint of this, then the endpoint of here to measure this gap. And then I'm clicking this again to place the right distance away. Here and here, there to go the right distance. Here and here to go the right distance. Here and here. So that's actually to just make this precise like an engineer would have to if they're selling a drawing, something like this. Now, the outside measurement is the overall length. So I'm going to click this corner, and I'm going to click this outer dimension line, and that's going to place it where I want it to go there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the right side over here. Click these two endpoints, specify the first and second, and then click this line for the distance away. Repeat. So this is how you get the placement of these measurements down right. Whoa, I lost my tool. Hit escape by accident. Escape. Oh, these are overlapping measurements. I did it wrong. I'm just going to hit Control Z and undo that. It needs to dimension at the right place. Somehow I misclicked. Click there, there. This line to place it. This line to place it. And then the last one on the very outside. Overall length or height. Click out here. Those are all the place dimensions. Last thing that you want to do, double click where it says, whoop, I'm going to hit the escape key so I can double click and select this text here. The block or title of this is called, we can just type in 4 times 4. Whoop, I just typed in 4x43. And then we're going to click Save As. You always have to make sure that you click Save As, and then you change the file name to what it is. You can do this at the very beginning, which is always better. Change this to 4x4 drawing. Yes, because I had already done this. It's all good. But you've got to make sure, as my students, that you're saving this to your U drive, that you have the title of this changed over here, that you have all the measurements set up right. And that's the entirety of this drawing. Thanks for watching. See you soon.